Hey folks, welcome back. Time for another puzzle in the over-the-top puzzle series. Once again, we're looking at the MF8 9cm dodecahedrons, but it's going to be a lot happier this time. Not massively happier, I should say, but pretty much significantly happier. This is now the Bauhinia Dodecahedron, which you can see the lovely pattern of cuts through the little window here. So let's release this from its cage. Now, I was really excited about this puzzle. I think I bought this in the same order as the Master Void Penultimate, so that was a bit of a shock. But yeah, what a lovely looking puzzle. Look at that. So this puzzle is a corner turner. You can see here. Look at that. It actually turns. Fantastic. Does what a puzzle should do. It is quite catchy, I will say that, but I'll talk more about the functionality in a minute. First of all, just a little bit of background on the puzzle. As you can see, it has a cut pattern reminiscent of something like a Rex cube. So the corner cuts overlap with corner cuts from the other adjoining vertices. That leaves you with this nice appealing pattern of curvy petal pieces, these movable centers, and these little tiny triangles. Now, unfortunately, there is a very good tutorial on this puzzle if you get stuck, which you can use, which is made by Super Antonio Vivaldi, but for some reason he called it the Rex Dodecahedron instead of its actual name. So search for that in YouTube and not Bauhinia because you won't find it. But it's a massive 4-part tutorial because it is a marathon solve. And I'm just bringing that up right at the start because I should say this puzzle is quite hard. I've scrambled and solved it once, and it was quite an operation, I have to tell you. But the fact that I could actually scramble and solve it is already a massive improvement over the last puzzle in this series that we've looked at, which was the Master Void Pentultimate. However, if you don't really like the look of this puzzle, although I'd say you might be crazy in that case, or if you're a little bit worried about some of the catchiness and stuff that I'm going to talk about in a minute, this puzzle is essentially the same in terms of the geometry as the Radiolarian 2 icosahedron, which has actually been mass-produced by MF8 as well, but they just call it the Radiolarian. And it's in their icosahedron series. And that puzzle seems to be pretty okay for turning, except it has a weird thing where it doesn't want to turn counterclockwise, I think. If you do counterclockwise face turns, it locks up, whereas it'll be fine going clockwise. Whereas this one is actually the opposite. I have more trouble going clockwise than I do counterclockwise. I'm not sure what that's all about. But yeah, so if you want to get a nice icosahedron with a different, it's a face-cut icosahedron, looks somewhat similar to Aton Star. If you prefer that look, then you can get the Radiolarian from MF8 and have a very similar solve experience to this. However, I want to add the massive caveat that it's identical in terms of the geometry and the correspondence between the piece types. But if you're like me and you're not a super skilled solver who sees past geometry to the very source code of the matrix, we mere mortals may not necessarily notice those correspondences. So when I have puzzles that are geometrically identical, they don't feel that way to me during the solve because I need to do different movements and it feels different to solve them. And often you need different algorithms. So it's more of a theoretical construct. But if you don't like this or you don't want to pay money for something that doesn't turn amazingly, I get it, and you can still get the same solve experience from the Radiolarian, but I cannot vouch for that puzzle. All I can say is that I've heard it has a problem when you turn counterclockwise, but other than that, I think it's okay. So anyway, this puzzle itself, as I said numerous times by now, it does have some catchiness issues. And there's a clear reason for that, as is often the case with MF8 puzzles. You can see why they cheaped out on something or made a weird design decision. In this case, it's because these pedal pieces are not capped. Right, so that's part of it. There's these ridges of plastic in here which are perfect for pieces to get caught on. And then you have, turning past those, you have these tiny triangles which are perfect pieces to get caught on those ridges. And that's basically what happens. My puzzle is pretty well functional. I've heard some people having an awful time with this and it popped and exploded many times. Mine didn't do that, but I also had to baby the puzzle a fair amount. And occasionally when you go to make a turn, you'll notice that it catches a bit, and if you look, you'll see that one of the triangles is sort of dangling out in space. So you just have to learn to be a bit cautious. If you feel that catchiness going, or if you see one of those pieces moving in an alarming way, just back off the turn, wiggle the axis a little bit, get it to settle down before you carry on. In my experience, if you do that, you'll get to the end of the solve just fine. And I didn't find that it happened enough to drive me completely crazy, but also it was such a long solve that I took a lot of breaks. I mean, it solved it over a period of time. It wasn't all in one day or anything. But you can see I'm quite happy just, doing random turns from any particular corner. I trust that it's going to happen. But it is true that some faces don't like to turn away from me. This one is okay, but some of them, they just really don't want to go that way. But the thing is that, it's a corner turner. There's only 3 positions for each face to be in anyway. So, you can just turn it twice the other way if you want to do the turn in that direction. So it does sort of mess you up a bit if you're doing algorithms and things, but you get used to it. And from what I said before and what I've heard, the radiolarian icosahedron is the same way. You have to turn the opposite way to get the turn that you want. And it's just, you just kind of have to get used to it if you decide to buy the puzzle. So there you could probably see when I did that turn, one of these blue triangles caught in a pretty significant way, but it didn't come out. One thing that I can recommend is that when you're making a turn, kind of give some inward pressure on all sides of the corner. So squeeze this bit a little bit. Just squeeze it and slightly push it in. What I found is that helps the little triangles to kind of glide over and push past whatever obstructions are there. And if they do decide to want to pop, you're already there kind of pushing them back into place. It's annoying and a little bit more tiring, but for me, that definitely seemed to work as a sort of pop insurance scheme. But yeah, getting past the actual physicality of this thing, I guess I should talk about the appearance because it is really good looking. The name Bauhinia, by the way, comes from a genus of flower, which is this face pattern resembles a flower kind of, so it's a nice choice of a name. And the stickers, I haven't had much problem with them, although these little triangles did worry me, but I haven't had any issues with them falling off. Other puzzlers, however, have had issues with them. As ever, though, you can buy replacements easily from Oliver's stickers, and I'm sure they will be much higher quality. So just ask Oliver or go over there, add one to your cart. I think it's about £6 for a set of stickers, so not a big investment. And then you'll be fine. But actually, I've had a pretty okay time with MF8 stickers on the puzzles I have from them so far. Nothing really falling off or being too irritating. But I feel I should report that some people did have problems. So I don't want to assume that every puzzle is exactly the same as mine. So as far as the turning, as far as what you can do on the puzzle, so of course, I've been doing lots and lots of random corner turns. But this puzzle can also jumble, which is a bit exciting, or at least it seems exciting. But in practice, it doesn't really add much. So, for example, I can turn the face part way like this, and then I can turn this one, and I can chop out that chunk, and then I can do other things with that chunk, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, it definitely makes the puzzle look more fearsome. I'll give it that. When you scramble it with jumbling like that, shape-shifting really, it does look pretty cool. But in my experience, it didn't really change the solve particularly. It adds an extra step. You have to return the puzzle to a dodecahedral shape. But, nothing, I couldn't move things into crazy orbits or anything like that, at least not that I could figure out. As far as I can tell, once you return the puzzle to dodecahedron shape, you can go through the rest of the solve without shape-shifting anymore. At least that's how I understand it. And that certainly was my experience. I was part of a conversation elsewhere on YouTube where somebody was talking about the correspondence between the Aton star and the Bauhinia and the radiolarian. Apparently this is quite similar to Aton star as well, geometrically speaking. And they said the same, that the shape-shifting and jumbling is kind of trivial. It doesn't really add to the difficulty. But, again, making a solve, or a scramble rather, look more fearsome, I think is important. We need that kind of coolness, that intimidation factor. It really makes you want to have that drive to finish what you started and tame that beast, But yeah, I think, aesthetics and, sticker appearance and things like shape-shifting, jumbling, these are all really important. I mean, look how cool that looks. That's a really cool looking pattern already after just a few turns. Of course, I'm not going to fully scramble it right now because this puzzle takes forever. I will solve it again because I did think it was pretty cool as a solve. And that's why I'm here recommending it to you, even with these problems that it does have. But it was enjoyable. And definitely I will attack it again at some point. I'll probably do a little bit more prep of the puzzle itself. I might do some more lubing, maybe some, trying to file down some of these uncapped ridges of plastic here. Maybe that would help. But, I did it once before. I'm sure I could solve it again and get through it and not be overly frustrated by it. But yeah, that's the Bauhinia. I guess I would give this kind of a middling recommendation. If you can look past the fact that it is inconsistent in its performance, you may have issues with catching and or popping, although I didn't have any popping. And some people had real problems with the stickers. It is actually a very enjoyable and challenging puzzle. I think it looks amazing. I think it's one of the best looking puzzles I have in the dodecahedral form anyway. Some of the very puzzles are more impressive to me visually, but the face cut pattern looks fantastic. The sticker colors are good. When it's scrambled up, it really does look cool. And can't deny that. So yeah, and that's important. We do these things to have fun, and you want a puzzle to look fun and look scary when you scramble it. And this definitely does that. And it's enjoyable to find your way through it. So yeah, look at how cool that looks. And that's barely just a tiny bit scrambled. Yeah, so, it's kind of up to you, I guess. You will be taking a risk because this is MF8 we're talking about. And I would say I'm okay with the way this puzzle works, mainly because I enjoyed solving it and I really love looking at it. So I kind of give it a pass on some of this stuff. But, objectively, it's not a very well-functioning puzzle, particularly. But to me, it functions well enough to solve. I certainly don't regret owning it. And if you get it from Z-Cube or somewhere, it's pretty cheap as far as these things go. So I can recommend it in that case. If you're spending $50, $60 on it, forget it. If you're spending $20, $25, get it. That's my opinion. So that's it for me. This is another over-the-top puzzle. I call this over-the-top because, as far as corner-turning puzzles go, it's way harder than anything else I have. But it's got such a striking visual. It's quite a big, chunky beast at 9 centimeters from edge to, or from side to side, I guess, face to face. So it's an impressive additive to your collection, and definitely if you show this to a non-twisty puzzler, they'll go, "What the heck is that?" And they'll want to know more about it. That to me is what really sets certain puzzles apart and makes them fit into that over-the-top category. They're things that turn heads. This puzzle definitely does turn heads, I should say. Looks great, and it's quite a challenge. So there you go. We have one more video coming up on the 9 centimeter dodecahedrons, which again will be on the more positive side, I think. So look forward to that. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have the puzzle and enjoyed it or had any issues with it or whatever your experience was, let me know in the comments. If you have any tips as well on how to smooth it out a bit, I'll probably give that a try. It's not mission critical because it is solvable in the state that it's in, but I'd love to have it really flow nicely for my next solve. But yeah, that's the Bauhinia, and I'll see you in our next Over the Top Puzzles video. And in the meantime, as always, stay safe, take care of yourself, and I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.